How are you feeling about Death Stranding 2 from the perspective of someone who's played Metal Gear Solid or just Kojima games in general, been interested in these games for as long as we have, since the beginning, since 1998?
I don't think I've been anticipating a game like this for quite a while, at least a AAA game.
Yeah, me either.
But yeah, coming into this as like a vet of the series, I'm actually really impressed by what I've seen by Kojima. Hate or love it, people had their reaction to the first game, but this one definitely seems like he's heard a lot of the issues from the first game. You know, he's taking some of the edge off. You were drinking it straight before, you know, no ice or nothing, just straight room temperature whiskey.
Yeah.
He's made it more enjoyable for regular folks. I won't say regular folks. He's made it more enjoyable for everyone this time around.
Yeah, for regular folks.
Where do you stand with Death Stranding 2 right now?
When they first announced it, I was like, all right, sick. Because I think they announced this around the same time. They were like, and there's this other thing, Fizz. I was like, all right, cool.
Right.
We're going to have a couple Kojima games in the pipe. Kept my eye on it. And then it really clicked for me when they released the 10-minute trailer that went through the whole thing. And I must have watched that like 5 or 6 times in the first like couple of days. I was actually, couldn't believe I was like excited for a video game.
I think what really pulled me in from those trailers too was the environmental disasters. Games have tried to do this stuff before. It's never looked well made. Almost seems like an afterthought in a lot of games. But this time around, you got more action. You got like floods and stuff happening. I actually like the environment. It looks like it's very well thought out, like desert environments and snow environments. There's a lot in this. So far the impressions pretty much is positive from at least our friend group. People who didn't seem to be too interested, even in Death Stranding 1, have kind of perked up at Death Stranding 2.
I wasn't that interested in Death Stranding 1.
It was a hard pill to swallow, don't get me wrong. I was fed up with shooters. I was fed up with like almost every game type that was out there. It was a nice change of pace, so that's how I actually fell into it and ended up enjoying it quite a bit.
Yeah, I watched my wife play most of the game. I didn't get to play it myself, and the only parts that I really retained were the cutscenes, but I didn't really have a coherent story. I enjoyed what I saw of the game, but the in-between parts, kind of the meat of the game, is intense in a different way.
Yeah, this is kind of unfiltered Kojima. Like MGS 1, 2, and 3 up to a certain point, like it was over the top, but there was someone in like reining Kojima in. And Death Stranding 1, it is like trying to read philosophy or something, because it's really jam-packed with a whole bunch of different ideas, and it's hard to explain to people who has no reference to a Kojima game, you know what I mean? Like if they have no actual idea of what a Kojima game is, they will never understand.
The Kojima game's an experience, and I don't think a lot of people that don't typically play games realize that, especially Kojima's games have like a really cinematic quality now. It's not fucking Pong or GTA even. There's substance to it. Kojima's got like real actors in his games now, and he's like hanging out with directors and shit. Who does that? Like what? Like who does that in video games? It's just him.
He has definitely elevated gaming as a whole. It's an art form. Like it always wasn't, like it was always never debatable to me. It always was an art form.
Absolutely.
But him actually putting like legit actors in. I understand people don't like real actors in your game because it's not, I don't know, how would you describe it? Like Solid Snake, he is inspired by different looks, but he's not directly based on like Van Damme, Christopher Walken. You're like, they're using portions of it to make an original character.
Right. Or Kurt Russell.
Right. Or Kurt Russell, exactly. In MGS 3, when Snake puts the eye patch on, he looks exactly like him at that one afterwards. But yeah, with these here, you know, those are shadows of those characters that we love, that those actors that we love. But with this, it's just straight up Norman Reedus. And if Norman Reedus ever has like a big publicity nightmare, for some reason that wouldn't look kindly on the game. Whereas Solid Snake, yeah, if any of the actors that inspired his look touched a goat or something, no one would like stop liking Solid Snake. But if Norman Reedus did it, that just changes his performance completely at that point, you know?
Yeah, this guy can't be out there being a peeping Tom or something.
Yeah, he can't be doing that shit. But I wanted to ask you too, so you have a unique perspective because you watched your wife play this game, and now you are interested in playing this. What was it that finally clicked with you to be, hey, Kojima's trying something here, I'm going to give this one a shot this time?
Again, this is when I seen that 10-minute trailer when that dropped. Got really interested because it looked more like what I expect from Kojima. The first Death Stranding, I did play a few hours of it. It just felt like it was missing the gameplay element that I wanted out of, you know, a Kojima game.
that's fair to say. I mean, as much as I do enjoy that game, I fully admit that it's mostly a walking simulator. You know, it's at the time I was listening to like different podcasts and stuff playing that game too. Just a little bit before the stranding of our own that happened to the world.
Oh, right.
But this time around, you're going to jump back in. It seems a lot more in line with what you want from a Kojima game.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing stealth, action, dynamic weather.
Right.
I mean, the big open world. I'm excited to see what he does and where this takes us, because it's not just the UCA anymore.
Yeah, and I do think there is a connection there, right? Because people who played the first game does have this weird, like, we can see Big Boss in Matt's character from the first game, and now we're seeing Solid Snake in the second game. I wonder if this is sort of like the steps moving forward for Fizzin', like Kojima saying, I'm going to eliminate these archetypes, you know what I mean, to make a brand new game. I'm just interpreting shit the way I'm interpreting. It doesn't have to necessarily mean those things, you know?
I don't think anything Kojima puts in his games, says in interviews, or shows in trailers. Remember, he edits all those trailers that we see.
True.
I don't think any of that stuff is coincidental. When he shows you big trailer that we got, the 10-minute trailer, Neil and Lucy having a conversation about this thing they're sharing between them, and then it's a hard cut to Lou.
Mm-hmm.
He's telling everybody something. Yeah, there's that's not, he just didn't think, oh, I'm going to edit this, I'm going to cut this scene in right after their discussion about, you know, what could potentially be Lou.
That would be amazing if he's like, just give him the baby now. That's what they want to see. Put the baby in between these shots. That's hilarious. But yeah, I do think it's tighter paced. I mean, for the most part, our impressions of Death Stranding 2 seems to be pretty good, but I think it's also worth hearing what Kojima's own impressions of his game is, and this is a direct quote from him, from the guy he has doing the music with, Woodkid, I think, is a French artist. He says, "There's a key moment where we had a discussion, probably halfway through when we were doing the game, where he came to me and said, 'We have a problem.' Then he said, 'I'm going to be very honest. We have been testing the game with players, and the results are too good. They like it too much.'" Who the hell says that? That doesn't make no sense. But, all right, let me continue with this. "That means something is wrong. We have to change something." And he changed stuff in the script and the way some crucial stuff happens in the game, because he thought his work was not polarizing and not triggering enough emotions. You gotta give him credit for it. He doesn't want a cookie cutter storyline or interaction, or he doesn't want it to be forgotten. The more polarizing something is, the more it'll probably stick in your head, you know?
True. I mean, look, we're still talking about MGS 2 all these years later.
It's true. As much as I do believe MGS 3 is the better playing game, and it is a really good story, 2 is the one you can, it's kind of like some people would compare it to like a Bible or something. Like, every time I read the scripture, I get something new from it. It's kind of like that with MGS 2, right?
Oh, MGS 2 is on another level. Just the content, the meat of the game. I don't think there's even many films that come close to the density that MGS 2 has in it.
I believe a lot of media in general just didn't have enough courage to even convey those messages in any media in that era too. That's like what, 2001 or 2 was when that
2001.
Game yeah, long time ago.
Crazy long time ago now that you think about it. And we had no idea what we were even getting into playing that the first time. I remember playing the demo.
You know, and even though I understood the game pretty well, maybe up until even think 2008 or so, when tech started to move at a crazy pace forward, I really started to really understand the message that was being said in MGS2. And could be a possibility for this one. I mean, Death Stranding 1 happened before the events. Death Stranding 2, who knows what Kojima's gonna predict with this, you know? Let me just finish this quote up real quick. "If everyone likes it, it means it's mainstream. It means it's conventional. It means it's already pre-digested for people to like it. And I don't want that. I want people to end up liking things they didn't like when they first encountered it, because that's where you really end up loving anything. And that was a lesson for me. Not doing stuff to please people, but to make them shift a little bit and move them." So you can see Kojima here. He doesn't care if you buy his game, really. He cares if he impacts you, which is pretty ballsy for him to do.
I mean, obviously he's doing something right with this. Even his approach to this. Kojima's just got a good track record with his second game in a series. Look at MGS1 is an incredible video game. However, MGS2 outpaces it in almost every way, graphically, story-wise, gameplay, everything. I don't know, maybe we're going to see that in this game, Death Stranding 2.
There's a lot of growing pains with Death Stranding 1. I'm sure it was very experimental at the time, and I'm sure he accomplished a lot of what he wanted to do. But putting all your ideas into fruition doesn't necessarily mean you're making a fun game. You might make a great story and a great experience, but you also make it, like he even said, that game was a lot more polarizing than it should have been. If he had an editor, maybe it would have hit differently. But I think in the long run, maybe like 5 more years too, you'll see it'll be like the MGS2 thing where a lot of the people we forget about it, there was a lot of reviewers that was given Death Stranding like 3s out of 10s and stuff when it dropped because the walking simulator thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I recognize, even though I didn't sit and play the entirety of the game, there was a lot more to that game than it just being a walking simulator, and I feel like that aspect of it, for me personally, got in the way of me sitting and enjoying it. I didn't get the Kojima experience that I wanted from the game, even though I enjoyed the aesthetics of the game and the graphics and, you know, all the cutscenes and ultimately the story of the game. I know he's saying that he, you know, wants it to be polarizing and different from whatever the convention currently is. But at the same time, he is leaning a little bit into convention because these trailers he's shown, it's a lot more action oriented. There's a lot more action scenes. Seems like there's more shooting, a lot more shooting, and a lot more stealth. The interfaces and whatnot are reminiscent of MGS2 and, you know, 4 and 5's interfaces. It gets down to the nitty gritty of like the sounds that Kojima's team picks for the menus and like the hue of the colors of the menus and you know the way the camera moves in game and the way they animate certain things. You're like, oh, I see shades of Snake in this or of Metal Gear in this, and I think that's why this sequence that they've shown, this new character.
Yeah. It's like a beckoning, right? It's a beckoning back to, hey, I'm making these games again, you know? Yeah,
it feels right. That's the thing. Like, it feels good when you see Neil put the headband on. You know, it's something different. It's a completely different type of character and situation, scenario, and all this stuff. But he puts the bandana on and it feels right. You're like, oh, this is a Kojima game. This is what I want. Right here.
I agree with you completely, dude. I can't wait to play this in a few days.
I'm fucking beyond stoked.
But obviously with the release of Death Stranding 2 months before the drop of Delta, we see Neil don the bandana and you get shades of, just within that 2 or 3 seconds where he's got like the corpse soldiers next to him, you get shades of MGS4 and MGS2 Snake in there.
Absolutely.
You know, if he dropped this game after Delta, it'd be received differently. He has to get us out there before. Do you think there's any hard feelings with Kojima, with Konami releasing probably like his seminal classic Delta without him being involved? Do you think there's any bad blood there?
No. I mean, I think Death Stranding 2 speaks for itself. I don't think he has anything to be jealous of with Delta. Delta looks phenomenal. Like me and you just replayed MGS3. I replayed it last year. This game's fresh in my mind.
Yes.
This remake, I don't feel like it's for me. And I'm saying that is MGS3 is my favorite game of the series, just purely like we specified before from a gameplay perspective. MGS3 reigns king, especially on the PS2 with the pressure sensitivity, all that stuff. There's nothing else like it. I don't think I need to play it again right now. I'll play it eventually, Delta.
I find this is the problem I have too with a lot of, just in general, HD re-releases of old games. The nostalgia makes me buy the game, but I only play up to like maybe an hour or 2 of these games, whatever these HD re-releases or reboots or remakes are. And then I kind of, you know, I lose interest because I pretty much play my nostalgia out. It's used up at that point, you know?
I've experienced this so many times. And it's, again, it's not to say that I don't love them, but like you said, I want something new from Kojima.
Right.
And I'm kind of happy it's not a Metal Gear, but it has the feeling in it. You could tell it's like the essence of Metal Gear's.
Yeah, it's like the DNA, right?
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it feels like. It feels like the DNA of Death Stranding is very clearly Metal Gear. And I don't think the whole thing with Kojima putting that sequence with Neil, obvious Solid Snake reference, I don't think that was him saying, you know, fuck you, Konami. I think that archetype of character is part of the fabric of what makes Kojima.
True.
It's, John Carpenter movies, 80s action stuff. That's just part of the stuff that he likes, which is why I think he keeps recurring in his games. It was highly influential to him, the same as it was highly influential to me. I love that stuff. It's my favorite. Escape from New York's probably my favorite fucking film.
I see what you're saying. It's not really like him putting the middle finger up. It's more like a caricature. Like, this is the kind of characters he would put consecutively in most of his things. He just likes those. I get what you're saying. That's actually really understandable. I do like that.
So how do you think Death Stranding 2 is going to be received by fans of Metal Gear?
That's a tricky question, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Metal Gear fans are sometimes hard to please. For the most part, all of us agrees the original trilogy is the best. And then you'll sometimes hear some random person say, no, I like Peace Walker the best. But it's always the exception to the rule, right? On the whole, people who generally enjoy Kojima's storytelling and his character development, this would be probably the game to jump into. PlayStation already released a 6-minute wrapping up story. I feel like that's how confident Sony is with this game. That it's probably going to hit a larger fan base. And I do think in terms of Metal Gear Solid fans, maybe some wouldn't get it now, probably won't enjoy it now, but I do think this will be very much, at least from the quote I talked about earlier, Kojima doesn't want this to just be in just a Marvel movie or something. He doesn't want you to be done with it when you watch it the first time. He wants you to sort of sit on it and think on it. So I think it's going to take a little while for it to kind of creep into everyone's subconsciousness a little bit. Let them think about it a little bit. Maybe even see some videos or some opinions about it. I think he's got staying power. What do you think, though? You think that this is going to be received well amongst the fan base?
The older generation of Metal Gear fans, guys from our era, I think that it's going to be a big hit with them because it looks like Kojima's up to his old tricks. As much as he says he doesn't want something that follows convention, all this bullshit. Just watching the gameplay, I kind of got an idea of what I'm in for, and I'm excited for it.
Right.
Like I said, I don't get excited for games anymore. I rarely play new games. I mean, all the games I play are like, 10, 15, 20, 25 years old at this point. This game's got me excited. It's got me excited the way that MGS 4 had me excited, that MGS 5 had me excited. I'm really looking forward to it. I think Metal Gear fans are going to receive it very positively if, and this is aimed towards the younger generation, if they give it a chance. I get what Konami's doing. You're going to get a lot of the younger fans are going to flock to Delta because they didn't get to experience it the way that we did back then. But I got bad news for you. You're not going to get that experience again. The most you're going to get is the exact same experience you got playing it in the Master Collection. I mean, with nicer graphics. If you want to see something new, if you want to experience something new, I think that Death Stranding's really your only option if you're into these kind of video games. Espionage games, stealth shooters, this kind of thing. Good gameplay with just a really deep story and deep.
Yeah.
For me, that's what I want out of a Metal Gear game. If Kojima brings that to the table with Death Stranding 2, I'm all in, man.
I do think you bring up a good point, the assessment that this nostalgia is sort of gripping. Like, Delta, in a lot of ways, is that nostalgia grab. And I'm sure, like we said, too, younger fans who probably only had a PSP, for some reason or other, they didn't play the other ones for the controls, that they will love Delta, because it looks like it's in capable hands, to be honest with you. But what I will say is, too, I think in some ways, however you feel about Delta, I think it might have lit a fire more under Kojima's ass in terms of making Death Stranding 2. He sees the fans want to play Metal Gear again. He's trying his best to sort of like reel you back in.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost better for him to have competition, even though he's having competition against himself, but it's competition nonetheless,
I mean, I wouldn't want it to unfold any other way. Kojima's competition right now is his best game that he's ever made. Like, just imagine that's the fucking face-off that we're about to see in 2025 is Kojima against the best game he's ever made, but with a new paint job.
Honestly, as a Kojima fan, we couldn't ask for anything better. We really couldn't ask for anything better in this scenario. Yeah,
I'm very, very excited.
Damn.
I can't wait to play it.
Yeah, so in the coming days to weeks, maybe we'll give you guys a first impressions of DS2 from vets to really get the idea of what we're feeling.
So before we close this video out, expect some new videos that might not be strictly Metal Gear videos in the future.
Amen.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. As always, we'll catch you on the next one.
Later, guys.